What up? Sammy Sim. Once again, shout out to the whole black mano. You know, I'll probably do my roll call at the end of this video. But this video here will probably be directed towards the street guys. You know, niggas in the streets. I watched a few YouTube videos with some guys, and I won't say any names, but you know, they admit, they are not from the streets. You know, like, hey, I'm not from the streets. I don't know anything about the streets and all of this, right? And it's very, very difficult to get these two types of people to come together. And I can honestly say, like, just looking at the black manosphere, there's only a few people who could kind of like link that bridge together. There's a few people that I can think of right on hand that can do it. The only problem with most of them is that, they've crossed over on the other side, and, basically where they come from, it's like, fuck them, I don't give a fuck about them no more, the hell with them. And, that all goes back to my Right to Leave Part 2 video. But, I get this a lot from a lot of the street guys when I start talking about the things that I spoke about on the Right to Leave series. I also got this from older brother who, was born and raised in New Orleans. He knows a lot of the street guys that, I grew up with in New Orleans, as well as some of the street guys that I know in Columbus, Ohio. And the reason why I know a lot of these street guys is just, I guess, by circumstance, and also, by, affiliation of knowing a few other people and, things like that. So, it's not that I am in the streets. It's just that I know a lot of these guys. And, I get, me and my little brother, we get this a lot where, people from New Orleans, they'll be like, and I get it a lot up here too, where it's like, well, yeah, man, you a real ass nigga because, you don't never judge me for what I do. I'm in the streets, I'm out here doing it, and, you don't never judge, you just do your own thing. I mean, I've had guys actually make fun of me because I decided to, just take a quick job paying, $1,500 every 2 weeks, and they're like, man, shit, you could have moved this pack and got at least, a good 15,000 within 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? You could have just made a couple trips and just made this, and a lot of these guys ended up catching fed charges. A lot of these guys ended up, doing a lot of time in prison. A couple guys ended up dead, and with me, I went through this stage. I went through a stage, and luckily I went through the stage in my mid to late teens, and it was basically like this blue pill, red pill stage. It was also, in regards to, praying to God, asking God, like, look, if I take this red pill, man. Not saying the red pill back then, but if I decide to start taking more accountability on my own actions and thinking in a certain way, which is going to be definitely more critical, is going to remove me from religion as well. And I was deeply in religion. I went through a lot, man. And even in the streets, like, I've been arrested before. First time I was ever arrested, I was 19. I was arrested a few times, not for any drug street shit, kinda, but not really. My shit was more like aggravated assault. My shit was more like, shit like aggravated assault, and I keep fighting it in court, and then they turn it to simple battery, and some other shit, and then next thing you know, it was like disturbing the peace. Like my grandfather used to always tell me, if you go to jail for stealing, I won't get you out of jail. But if you go to jail for fighting, I'll get you out 1,000 times. And the first time, fortunately, I ever went to jail was for fighting. You know, and I've also been suspended and expelled from school as well for fighting. You know, my grades were good, but, you know, my best friend in middle school and in high school was considered the bully. You know, he was a big guy, big, very, very husky, boy his age, the biggest guy in school. And, you know, he rarely come to school, but, you know, he come for exams and pass his exams with flying colors. I've lost a lot of people over the years. Like, I've had close friends, best friends that have gotten shot and killed in Magnolia Project. You know, I've had friends who've had cops looking for them, and, you know, they decided to opt out when the cops was, you know, right on their tail. I've seen a lot. Like, I got friends on death row, you know. And before I get into, like, the real meat of this video, I'll just say that, you know, for me, you know, just growing up, like, knowing a lot of these street guys, I know how they think. I know, you know, even up here, it was like, I had this certain way I carried myself. You know, I didn't get in anybody's business. I kind of like kept to myself. With my stepbrother up here, you know, he was heavy in the streets. You know, and the story went big. Like, I won't get into detail, but it made it big, and he ended up doing like 5 years in the feds as well. But you know, all of his guys, you know, they were making like big time money. These guys were like heavy in the millions. So, you know, they opened up a nightclub here in you know, I would just keep to myself. You know, my own business, you know, a lot of the guys, a lot of the cronies would take and make fun of me because, you know, I would, you know, just work the state job. I had a job working for the state, you know, working for child support, which taught me a lot about, you know, it extended what I already knew about single parenting. You know, I had to deal with child and spousal support, you know. So, you know, I had a lot that I was dealing with, you know, and then, you know, my brother was just club. You know, a lot of the guys like who put money in to own the club, you know, these were millionaires, you know, and they're serving time. They're serving federal time now, you know. But you know, they would definitely pull me off to the side. This is like right after Katrina, you know. They would pull me off to the side and be like, "Look, you need anything? Let me know," you know. Yeah, you know, their cronies would make fun of me because I would never fuck with them in the streets and shit. And then when like shit really went down, some of the like, you know, the capos would call me up and, you know, because I would, you know, hang out with them and have a couple drinks and laugh with them at the club, and then I would go home. Like, you know, there would be sometimes because, you know, my other stepbrother and we had an apartment up here. So, you know, my stepbrother, you know, he was in the streets, you know, doing his thing. I would just go to work. You know, before he decided to kind of like settle down and go to work, he kind of like took after me and, you know, decided to kind of like settle down. And then after that, he had a son. So, you know, before that, you know, it would be nothing but women in the house. I'd be sleeping, you know, women would come in my bedroom and be all in the bed. And, you know, I went through shit like up here in New Orleans, basically. So, you know, like I said, like no personal stories. Too much, but you know, I don't know why, because when it comes down to like YouTube, I get mixed reviews. Like I get like some people that say, well, you know, he's telling too many personal stories and shit, and then I get some people, you know, on my channel who thank me for getting personal and, you know, kind of like sharing a few things, and you know, because you know, you never want to be too instructional, but you know, even on other people's videos, they're like, man, you know, you guys always want to take and, you know, give out statistics and give out general information, but you never want to tell any personal stories about how your life was affected. And I could tell you, man, with me, I witnessed some crazy shit. Like I've had friends who, you know, they were showing me signs that some shit was going down, and I kind of knew it was going down, but I didn't catch on to them signs on time. And right when we split up, they ended up dying. You know, gunshot wounds. And, the next day, I'm talking to their moms. Like, before that, I would always talk to their mom. Like, I mean, go to Bum Ass Negroes. Go to that video. Go to the video I did, Bum Ass Negroes. Like, I know a lot of these guys, and I don't tend to make myself look better than them. And I guess this is why, a lot of these guys, they do me and my other little brother. They're like, my other little brother, and he's never done anything. He's never been in the streets like that, even though, he knows a lot of street guys. He grew up in, rough environments, but he's never like been out there like the rest of his buddies. So they always like, man, you one of the realest niggas I know. You knew we was in the streets, you knew we was doing our thing, but you never judged us, and that's how I am, and that's how I am up here as well. So, when I sit down and I talk with these dudes, they're like, well, damn, Sam, I mean, you saying all of this, but, you come from the streets too, you know how it is. So, I have to tell them, I have to let them know that I've gone through, that stage of being hurt about a lot of things, of, that stage of being like, well, damn, what I'm saying? We all kind of fucked up out here, and then kind of like cleaning up my act and, getting things together. I mean, I go back to the first time I ever got locked up. First time I went to jail, before they put me in the holding tank, I was asking them, like, look, will this affect me from going to college? Like, I was very, very concerned about that. I was so naive, I thought that getting locked up and going to jail would prevent me from going to college. Definitely would prevent you from getting a job, though, But I thought it would prevent me from going to school. All right. And a lot of brothers, like, they never really thought about that. Like, growing up, I seen a lot of high school dropouts. And a lot of high school dropouts back then, it was more like, you know what, I can hurry up and make me some money right now. I don't need to be going to school here and looking at long term. I can go ahead and just make me some money right now. Some of these guys, they were like, real big in the rap industry and shit. Like, they were local, but they were getting big locally, and they thought that they were going to get a nationwide $1 million deal. So they decided, fuck it, I'm going to just drop out of school. A lot of these things happen. A lot of guys, decided to go long term, and decided to go to college and, get out of college and shit like that. So when I talk about the right way, which is kind of like the more strenuous way, it's definitely a tough road to go to. A lot of street guys, they're not on that shit. They're really not. Like, when I start talking about, like, owning your own business and shit like that, which I have talked to a lot of guys about it. Like, I've shown them movies. I had to show one guy Ghetto Stories. I said, man, look at how this guy has his own lawnmowing company. He has his crackheads. He has his geeks to go out and cut the grass for him, and he manages it and he makes money. You can do that, and then when it gets cold, you can start plowing with snow. So a couple guys in New Orleans, they decided to do that. And one guy up here, he does it now. So in the summertime and the springtime, he has his geese to go out and cut grass. They cut like 30 yards a day. And, they're currently plowing snow. I don't know if they're out there now because it's like 4 degrees, but, they've been plowing snow in the wintertime. And then not only that, some of these white boy crackheads, they've been giving them like all kind of different equipment as well. So, he's doing the power washing, like he's power washing homes and shit like that. So he's making a legitimate business out of what he's done in the streets. So yeah, I know about the streets, but just because I do know about the streets, it doesn't mean that we have to keep it there. Like, they want to always talk about, when it comes down to white people, white people, they bring the majority of the drugs in. I mean, they're the ones like that really do cocaine. The crackheads, they just do crack. They just get a bad reputation. I mean, look at how they even judge you. If you get the crack, that's 1 gram, you get 25. But if you get the same amount of grams in cocaine, it's a slap on the wrist. I'm like, look, that's a reason. It's a reason why, because we do not control the judicial system. It's already fixed that way. And then on top of that, you can talk about, I mean, I think the numbers are kind of fucked up because one guy, I went over to the trap house, and I'm over there with with my homeboy, and he's running these numbers to me, and he's like, man, I can tell you right now, at least 85% of the drugs that's in the streets come from white people, like the rest of the percentage, that's us, but they want to make us look bad. I'm like, you know what? That might be the case, but really, if you want to be honest with if you want to be honest with it, like they really flip that shit around. When it comes down to drugs and it comes down to the drug trade and drug marketing, they put, the streets first, like the inner city. They put that shit first, and then, because everything else is like white collar crime. I mean, it's the same thing when it comes down to the Italians. Every other white race, any other white nationality, look how they did the Italians back in the day when they started their La Costa Nostras, and they had the Gambino family, the Lucianos and the Gotti boys, and like Italians, they were treated, even in white society, even still today, like they're looked down upon, like they are considered like one of the most nastiest group of people. Even though I personally love Italians, but other white people, they look at them as like white niggas. And I mean, this is how it was back in like the 30s and the 40s and the 50s and shit, and when it comes down to the drug trade back in those days, black people, we were more involved in bootlegging. You didn't really have too many people in the streets like that, but now more than ever, I mean, we have extended that reputation, to the utmost. And now it's to the point where, we need to just give it up and just let somebody else have it. One guy was like, what, yeah, you're right. I finally understand what you mean by, we need to give up the reputation because, yeah, we do make everything look cool. And that's all I'm saying. Like we make, being hip cool. We make the word nigga sound cool. And then it's to the point where, because I hang out with like a lot of groups of different races of people, and I hear Somalians say nigga, I hear, Cambodians say nigga, Filipinos, and, various races, they use the word, and, sometimes, I'm like, look, don't say that word about me. And then other times, I just don't say nothing. I just let it pass. I'm like, you know what? I know what the fuck it is. It's an urban thing. It's a poor community thing, So when you're involved in a poor community, this is what we've done to make the shit look cool. And people who have grown in that environment, or used to that environment, or who have adapted to the culture of that environment, this is what they're going to do, It's like, are you you're from the streets? You're from the streets as well. So why are you talking all of this? It's because I've thought about a lot of these things. I've said, you know what? We got to let a lot of this shit go. A lot of it has to leave. And I don't see why we don't do it. And I mean, that's the hardest thing for these motherfuckers to do because it keeps us on top. Like, yeah, we cool, we make everything cool. I'll whip these white motherfuckers ass. That's another video I need to do. There's a video, there's a video that I wanted to do. It came from one of my white buddies. He lives in Nebraska, in Lincoln, Nebraska. He did a post on my Facebook, and the Facebook post basically said that black people are just as racist as white people, if not more. But that's a whole nother video that I do need to take and cover. But like I say, these niggas, man, they're not giving that shit up. They're definitely not gonna give up, like being able to control the trend, and that gives them the pussy as well. Like that gives them, Because when we start talking about like a lot of black women, they like, man, you want to go ahead and fuck around with them black women and shit. You know what I'm saying? You want to be a fucking Urkel. You want to be a Carlton and an Urkel and shit. It's not about that. Like they they basically like, well, you keep talking about how other races of people work and how they move and how they operate and shit. And they think that we can actually keep this shit up and continue to thrive. And be better, or be like other races of people in the process. That's impossible. It's fucking impossible. So that's about it, man. I do have a lot of part 2s that I need to post, and I haven't really gotten around to doing it. In fact, what I was gonna do is there's a few videos for season 1 that I wanted to post. My part 2s for season 2. I just never really got around to it. I kind of like covered a lot of things in depth, but I'm approaching my season 3 real soon. I was able to accomplish a lot for my season 2 for SamSemantics YouTube. I was able to successfully do season 1, which was good. And for season 2, like I said it, for season 1, I was gonna take and do season 2 like Netflix, because like the live video that I posted of me at the school, and a lot of other projects that I've been working on, physically being in the trenches doing things. I wasn't able to come on YouTube and do a lot of things like that. So the little bit of subscribers that I do have, I want to thank you guys, and I just want to let you guys know that I have definitely been physically busy doing a lot of things, and I'm doing it on my own as well. Like it's been a few other brothers that's been there. Like I said, I'm the field nigga, so I had some house niggas that was able to get with the program. And I had some street niggas, which, I call runaway slaves. We were able to take and get this project going. We were able to take and get a school operated, get it re-functioning. After like 5 years of it being closed, I did a video on that. And, a few other projects, man. Businesses, that we were working on here, still in process. So, been speaking with a lot of black business owners. I've done videos on that. I've got a lot of stuff going through my mind right now. I don't want to keep this video too long, but I do want to give some shout outs to the Black Mano. When I have time, when I'm, chilling, or I'm on a break or something, and usually I'll cut on like O'Shea Duke Jackson's. You know what I'm saying? And I listen to those. I need to get on one of those, one day, man. I probably don't have enough subscribers to do it yet, but I think like my persona and my swag is good enough to kind of like be on that panel. But big shout out to him. I love what he's doing, and also I like what Angry Man's doing. With the Angry Couch, and just the way he does like the primetime shows. I never get to catch all of them, but I have an idea of how he operates, from day to day. I probably get to catch like maybe 1 or 2 shows a week, but I look at the titles and I'm like, wow, and then I kind of like scan through the video. Same thing with Minister Jap, same thing. I see like sometimes he's in the car, and then sometimes he's in his studio. Red's the bad guy. I like how he's doing his live episodes now. I was able to kind of like sit in on a couple of them. That shit was dope. Like some new dudes too, man. Like Wake the Hell Up. I listened to him on Red's the Bad Guy a couple shows, and then I, went on to his show, had some good stuff. Charles Willie Pete, man, Infinite Wisdom. SWP, got some real heat over there. Non-stop, it's just very, very consistent. Shit, ain't nothing I can really say about what's going on over there. Dope stuff. Um, very, very, honest. Um, comes from like close to more of a level of how I'm coming. Solo TV84 as well. Um, there's just miscellaneous guys, man, out there. I love listening to some of these dudes, man. Some guys like I don't really feel. I don't like them too much, but I sit and watch them. Sometimes just to kind of like get a quick laugh. I know they mean well, and I'm like, okay, so let me go ahead and get on here and just listen to them. So, I do that with the elder, Elder Rashawn DeLay, I listen to him like, man, funny old man. Sometimes he says a lot of real shit, but I think he goes overboard when they start talking about, the spirits and shit like that, Cynthia G, my God, man, that's another one I get kicks out of listening to. It's like, wow, man, it's just some funny shit. And a lot of brothers, man, they just tagging the fuck out of her. That's crazy, I don't really, I've heard things that she said too that I was like, what, yeah, that makes good sense. I feel like everybody on YouTube just wants to be the person that's right. And I've witnessed that with a couple of people. I've witnessed that even with a couple of people who I've mentioned in my list. When we're in the comments, whether it was my video or their video, like I'll leave a comment and then they'll come back and then I'll say, well, yeah, you're right about this, but this, and then they're like, knowing like they need to be corrected on some shit, but they keep trying to have the fucking last word, and I'm like, fuck it, you know what, you can have the last word. Who else, man? Who else? Oh shit, nah. Professor Black Truth, man, awesome. I don't know if he writes that shit before he does it, but man, that man is incredible. Who else, man? Who else? And I know I'm forgetting some people. Don't get it twisted, man. On my next show, I'll do another roll call. Or, maybe, a few shows down the line, I'll do another roll call. But, yeah, those guys are incredible, man. But, yeah, Elder, Cynthia G. There are a lot of black guys on here. I mean, they coming from every fucking where, seriously. But, I'm just thankful that, I know who the real ones are. I'm thankful that, I know exactly who to listen to and who not to listen to. Like, the group of people who I listen to, like they very, very close niche. Like, see, I'm forgetting names. Another person is BGS Ipmore. I enjoy watching his stuff. Yeah, so I got a nice little circle right there. And I'm probably like one of those guys who are like, considered the outer circle when it comes down to like the full perspective of like black YouTube. But I'm good, man. I am good. Cause I know a lot of these motherfuckers, they out for self. Like a lot of these street guys, they into Umar Johnson real heavy. They love Umar Johnson, and they keep coming back saying, well, Umar said this, Umar said that. And I'm like, well, what, this is fucked up. This is well, I see, you just mad, you upset because you can't do what Umar's doing. I'm like, yeah, it's because Umar has more money than I have. He's being funded, more than how I'm being funded. Then like that gives him more leverage, and everything that he says is right just because he has more money. And that's what's so fucked up in the streets, and that's why I get on a lot of these street niggas about. They cannot get along. They cannot get along with anybody, as far as like in the streets. Like, they can't hustle out the same trap house, because, it's just too much heat, too much traffic coming from one person than the other person. Um, you have one person jealous because, more money is being made in the trap house to him, than the other person. So they never would work together, like they would never be able to buy a storefront and one person buys over the Arab store, the other person buys over the computer shop, the other person, buys the restaurant right there, and have, legitimate businesses running through the black community. Like, they won't do that shit. Show me where they're doing that at. And it's definitely not DeSoto, Texas. Like, DeSoto, Texas is just a small town where, black people are thriving because, there's no crime because it's not a big city. Per capita, of course there's going to be less crime per capita, And, you got to remember, this is DeSoto, Texas we're talking about. So, it's nothing for black folks to go over there and become a police officer. A lot of black people, who are involved in crime, they like to do this shit in big cities. Motherfuckers who like to party and shit, they go into big cities. Like the average black person between the ages of 17 and 45 is not thinking about DeSoto, Texas. All right? Especially if they're single. So, I just wanted to kind of like point out a few things there. A lot of things I do want to kind of like mention as well, but I'll leave that for another video. Don't want to make my videos too long. But yeah, these motherfuckers is like, oh yeah, you know the streets. You're from the streets too. So why he's saying this? Because it's wrong. Like the trend is not. It's not conducive. And it just needs to stop. So that's it. But at least I can say, I'm doing something. I'm in the trenches and I'm trying. But yeah, this is what they're saying to me. And it's like an excuse. And, it's like, you still can't fucking fault me for it. And that's what I have to say to a lot of these motherfuckers at the end of the day. Like, yeah, sure. Like, even though, I went to jail, for some shit, I didn't get caught on a drug charge or a gun charge, and even though I grew up in the streets, like, come on, man, I was still going to school, man. I wasn't out there fucking around with bitches. In fact, like I told you, I started doing this shit because, I was like, well, you know what? Let me leave this religion alone and let me, start fucking around with bitches like, some of my male counterparts, some of my peers out here before they start thinking that I'm gay. I had to leave religion alone and I had to wake the fuck up. I had to take the red pill. I had to do all of these things, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, in the process of doing that, away went, my concept of, looking at street culture as like being the shit. All right? So that's it. And that just sums up everything else that I talk about in my videos, especially like the right to leave part 2. I keep saying, take a look at that video. I see a lot of people looked at part 1, but part 2 is the one. All right, so that's it. You guys be cool. Sam, I'm out. Peace.